Hi there and hello dear children. In this video, I will be discussing about list and its associated functions. Well, this is in regard to class 11 IP syllabus. More or less in class 11, you will observe that there is not much of separation in the syllabus between computer science and IP. However, in class 12, you will notice a major shift in terms of the chapters and the topics that you have in class 12 as compared to class 11. Nonetheless, the basics remain the same. So without much delay, let us begin. So first off, what is a list? It's a Python mutable data type or a data structure. It's a way of storing data and it is sequential. And how do we create the list? We can create the list by specifying list of comma separated values within third brackets. For example, 10, 20, let's take 70, 67, 89 and 30. Now keep in mind that when you do an ideally cell, you don't have to use the print statement. You can just type in the object name and it will display what's there in the object. But if we do the same program in a file, then we have to use print statement whatever you wish to display it on the screen. So well, this is list and this is how you create it. We have a list of 1 2 3 4 5 6 elements, and each element have indexing. The indexing or the positioning of elements begin from left to right, starting with 0 0 1 2 3 4 5. Now there is a indexing from right to left as well, which starts with -1, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5 and -6. If you want to access any element, let's say 70, then you can access it by referring it with its index. What is the position here? It's 0 1 2 when we move from left to right. So L2 will give me that element at that position. If you want to take the negative index, then what would it be? -1, -2, -3, -4. So you can just give here -4 and it's going to give me the same element. What it means when we say it's a mutable data type, it means that the value in place can be changed. That is, at position 2 I am having 70, I can change its value to something else. Now if I look at the list, I will have 89. Well then, if you know this is mutable, which means you can change value in place, what it means when the data type is immutable? It means that its value in place cannot be changed. Could you give me an example of an immutable data type in Python which you have studied? One such immutable data type is tuple, right? And how do we create a tuple? Well, there are different ways to create one. You can create using the tuple function. Let me show you a very simple one first. Just like how we created a list, we can create a tuple with a list of comma separated values within parentheses. Let's say this is our tuple T. Now tuple is also a linear or sequential data type in Python. What linear or sequential implies here is it's a continuous memory allocation is there. That is, the positioning or indexing follows a sequence. Like we saw in the list, how did we move from left to right? 0 1 2 3, and from right to left -1 -2 -3. So very similar to list, tuple is also a sequential data type. However, it is immutable, that is, its value in place cannot be changed. If you want to modify what's there at position 3 in a tuple, Python will not allow me do that. For example, what do I have at position 0 1 2, that is 35? If I do T of 2, that is the value at position 2 or index 2 in tuple T, then it will give me 35. But now when I try to change whatever is there at 2 to some other value, Python will raise an error. So this is what it means when we say a data type is immutable, that is, values in place cannot be changed. Now let's come back to the list. We have a list here, and there are different functions that we can apply on lists. The reason why I have made this video is because students have asked if it's possible if you could upload the videos in YouTube. Well, that I don't think it is possible. You should attend the classes and try to attend as many classes as possible to not be absent. And well, what you can do is you can give me some specific topics which you find very difficult or which you're facing problems in. Okay, now let's move with the list and the different associated functions. First of all, let's start with a very simple function. We have a list and we may come across situations when we want to know the number of elements in the list. For this purpose, there is a function which is len. That is, how do you know a function? What a function is now? A function is a subprogram. It's basically a small program, a part of a program you can say, but you can refer to it as a small program which is independent, that is, it can execute, it is complete in itself, and it will work on some data and will return you some value. It may not return anything, but for the time being, let us just understand that it's a name that is followed by parenthesis, first bracket open, first bracket close. The moment you see any that kind of thing on in your Python, then you should immediately understand that it's a function. This. Now you can give values to the function. It will take that value and will work on it and will return you something based on what's coded inside that function. So when we give length len, it will take the length object, it will count the number of elements and will return you number, that is, there are 6 elements. Maybe you want to add elements to your list. For this, you have a function which is append. So append is a function. As you can see, we have parentheses, and the value that I am providing to append function is 100. How am I calling the append function? I'm calling it using this list L. So what append function will do is it will take the value that's given to it and it will add it where? It will add it to there who called it. And who called it? It's the list L. Remember that append function will always add element at the end of the list. But in case if you want to add elements not at the end, but let's say some position, for example 3, which is 0, 1, 2, 3 here. In that case, we are going to use a different function which is insert. The parameters that we are supposed to provide to the insert function is where do you want to insert that index, which is 4, and what do you want to insert, maybe 100. And then when you hit enter, what's going to happen is 100 will be inserted at index 4, where 67 is right now. There will be 100, and from 67 onwards, each number will be right shifted. Just have a look. I have given 4 index, so it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So fourth was this one. Well, here what has happened, the index or the position which I gave is 4, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, that is at 89. So at what happens is 100 will come at 89, wherever 89 is, and then 89, 30, 100 will be shifted towards right. Okay. Now this question can be framed indirectly, like you may be asked to insert 100 between 20 and 89. Now what it's indirectly asking you in simple words is to insert 100 at where 89 is right now. So if you're asked to insert something between, let's say, 89 and 30, then you are being asked to insert the data at the position where 30 is right now. So what you're going to do, Let's insert 100 between 20 and 89. L dot insert the position between 20 and 89. So we will take this position, which is 0, 1, 2. And what value do you want to insert? We have to mention that. Let's take 700. Now if you see that 700 comes in between 20 and 89. That is about insert function. Let's now move on to, there is also a function that goes by the name count. L dot count. Now what this function will do is, the data that you give to the count function, that data will be counted how many times it appears in the list. Let's put here 100, and it will return me 2, which is the frequency of 100. That is 100 appears 2 times in the list. Now let us look at another function, at a series of functions, because what we are going to look at now is the different ways of deleting data from a list. There are 3 functions you can use. One is pop function, another is del. Del is not a function, to be precise. You can view it as an attribute. And third one is remove. There's one more function that is clear, and I will show you a little while later, and it will be clear what clear function is all about. So first let us start with the pop function. When I do l.pop, what it basically does is it will remove the last element from the list and will return the deleted element. That is, when I do l.pop, the last element, which was 100 in my list, has been removed. If I look at L now, there is no 100 at the end. And it also returns what's deleted. Now what do I mean by its return when it's deleted? Well, in some situations when you delete elements, you may be required to preserve or save the deleted element for some purpose, right? And that's where your l.pop counts very fruitful. Let's take a variable k is equals to l.pop, enter. And when you print k, now k will store the value which was deleted. So you know what was deleted. In case you do not want to delete elements from the end only, or maybe you want to delete some element at some specific index or position, then you have to give that index or position to the pop function. For instance, if I want to delete 67, look, what is its position? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is what I have to give to pop function 4. So if you look at the list, 64 is gone. Now let us understand about del function. Del is not actually a function. You use del this way, that is, you mention del, then you have to specify the name of the object, which is L, and within third bracket the position of the element which you want to delete. If I want to delete 100, let's delete 20, whose position is 0, 1. So let's mention that. And then when we check L, we find that the element at index 2 is now removed from the list. There is another function, remove. When you do l.remove, you do not specify the index, rather you specify the data that you want to remove. For example, I want to remove 100. So if you know the data that you want to remove from the list, you can use remove function. Here you don't have to specify the position, directly the data, and that data will be gone. Look, L, that's 789, 89. Now let's come to clear function. Clear function, in simple words, what it does is it will clear the list. It will empty the list. It will delete all the elements from the list. Now if I try to print L, then it will display just the empty third bracket open and third bracket close. What it indicates is it's an empty list. This is where now the difference comes between clear and del function. When I use del with list, within third bracket followed by within third bracket any position that if I mention like 1, then it will delete whatever element is at position 1 in that list. But say I do not mention anything. Let's say that third brackets is not there and it's just the name of the object alongside the del function. What will happen now is the L will be dead. It will be sent to heaven. Okay. Earlier when I printed L, it showed empty list. So list was still there. But now after I write del L, what will happen is if I try to print L, Python will ask who is L. L is not defined. That's about del and the difference between clear function and del. Alright, now let's look at the other functions that remain. Let's see what reverse function is. First, let us again create the list 5, 10, 7, 12, 34 and maybe 0. And then let's apply reverse function to this list. Let's have a look at what my list contains right now. It is just the reverse of what it was earlier. So that is what reverse function does. Now we will discuss the sort function and sorted function. The difference we should know: the functions are sort and sorted. Well, both of them are used to arrange the elements in the list in some order, maybe ascending order or descending order, depending upon what we specify. Now, if both of them perform the same task of sorting, then what is the need of these two different functions? Well, there are differences that exist between these two functions, and depending upon our situation, we can choose which function to use. We will discuss what is the difference. Let us first understand sort function. When sort function is applied to the list and you don't give any argument to the sort function inside this parenthesis, what happens is you will find that elements of the list is sorted in ascending order, and this modification or change takes place in the list itself. That is, the change is permanent. If you want to sort the elements in the list in descending order, then what you got to do is you have to specify an argument that is reverse is equals to true. The function is sort. So to the sort function, we'll have to provide an argument reverse is equals to true. And now when we hit enter, we will find that the elements in the list is sorted in descending order. This again happens in place. So 2 points to note with sort function is 3 points. First point, that sort function, you can arrange elements in a list in ascending order or descending order. If you do not provide any argument, by default it will be sorted in ascending order. If you want to sort it in descending order, then you have to give an argument to the sort function, which is reverse. Reverse is equals to true. If you write there reverse is equals to false, then it is very much similar to writing nothing to the sort function argument. Basically, it will also sort it in ascending order. Second point to note here is you can call sort functions using list object and the change happens in place. So let's look at how sorted function is different from the sort function that we have seen just now. First difference lies in the way we use the sorted function. We do not call it using the list object, rather we provide the list object as an argument to the sorted function this way. And when I do this, the elements of list will be sorted in ascending order. However, one thing to keep in mind here is this change takes place in a copy of the list and not in the list itself. If you see your list L, if you display it now, you will find that modification do not take place in the list. So what if you want that modification to take place in the list using sorted function? You can reassign whatever the sorted returns to L itself. Now you will find the change has taken place. let's see, L right now is this. Now let's perform a sorting. Let's sort it in reverse order. Sorted is equal to, sorted L comma reverse is equals to true. We'll sort it in descending order, but this will be in a copy of the list and not on the list itself. But if you want to make it permanent, you can reassign whatever is sorted back to L. Now if we display L, you will find that the elements of that list is sorted in descending order. Second point of difference here is, unlike with the sort function that you could sort only list because we're calling that sort function using a list object. However, with sorted function, you can sort any other data type. Let's take for example a tuple 12, 1, 6, 15 and 8. Now, well, this is a tuple. I can do m is equals to sorted t. For simplicity, let's remove m equals to right now. Just look what happens when I do sorted t. I gave a tuple to the sorted function. What sorted function did is it converted to a list and has applied sorting on it. And then it returns me the list. So if I want to save it somewhere, I got to take a variable. For example, k is equals to sorted t. And I have it there. So sorted function, you can provide argument of any other data type, but it should be sequential. For example, a string you can give a tuple and it will convert it to a list and it will perform sorting and it will give it to you. For example, let's take a string. Hi there, what's up? And let's apply sorted function on this string. K is equals to sorted s. You will observe that the characters of the string is taken out as single elements and will be sorted in ascending order if I do not mention reverse is equals to true. Let's look at k. Look, spaces is also taken into account, and how sorting happens is it will take ASCII value into consideration. Capital A ASCII value is 65 and lowercase a is represented with 97. If you want to check CHR, that's right. Well, CHR, if I write 65, then it's going to give me capital A. If I do odd 60, odd stands for ordinal, CHR stands for char. Now when I do odd A, it's going to return me its ASCII value, which is 65. Maybe you want to find what is the ASCII value of a space. So I'm just going to give a space here. It's 32. And this decimal value, which is converted into binary form, and these are the representations of different symbols that we find on our keyboard. This decimal value or ASCII value is taken into consideration when it's sorting the letters or the characters that we have in our string. Now let's look at min, max and sum functions. Let's have a look at our list first. This is my list. When I do min and give L as an argument to min, it will return me the minimum element that's there in the list L. Max will return the max element from the list. Sum will return the sum of all the elements from the list. There is no function for mean or average in list. But if you're required to find the mean of the data that is in the list, then how can we do it? It's very simple. We can find the sum of all the elements in the list and then we can divide it by the number of elements using the length function, as it returns me the number of elements in the list. And there you have the mean of elements in list L.